right, here we are, fans. So, we're going to the Bhagavad Gita. For those of you who are in North Carolina, this is our Sunday feast program. And for those of you who are in Australia and New Zealand and Fiji, it's your Monday feast program. And for those of you who are in India, it is the middle of the night, Praneshwara, or early in the morning. And those of you who are in Europe, it is the middle of the night also. So, okay, so, all right, so we're going to chant Jai Radha Madhava, as we usually do, and read the Bhagavad Gita today. And at the end, we're going to speak a little bit about our plans for Balarama Purnima. But not right now. I'm going to wait till everybody joins us. Because Balarama Purnima is the day that Lord Balarama appeared, and we're going to talk about what our plans are for that, and sort of like hint at our plans for Janmashtami. So you can all hear what we're going to do. Although this is being sent out, or our plans are being sent out to our whole congregation here. But it'd be interesting for those of you around the world to hear what we're doing to safeguard the devotees on Janmashtami and on Balarama's appearance day. So now we'll chant. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Jana Malabha Giribharadhati Gopi Janaballabha Giribharadhati Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Jana Malabha Giribharadhati Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhati Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace via Chalanad Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Vedas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasti Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kun Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Maturadam Ki Jai. Jagat Goswami Ki Jai. Yamunamai Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Gaur. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, Om Ganatividanda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshuram Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, again, we welcome everyone to our Sunday program, or Monday program, depending on where you are. And today we're going to continue with the Bhagavad Gita recitation and study. We've done 70 classes so far on the Bhagavad Gita, and we've completed up to the 13th text in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And today we're going to start on the 14th text. So you see, and we've been going quite fast, but touching upon all the main points, and you can see how long it really takes to understand the Bhagavad Gita, and we haven't even done everything completely. And Arjuna understood it in 35 minutes. So you can figure out the ratio between his ability to understand and our ability to understand it. And even when we're finished, we still may not understand the Bhagavad Gita. I was listening to a class or a discussion that Prabhupada was having with, anyway, a follower of, I guess you can mention the name even though it's not, a person named Raman Maharshi or something like that. Some of you may have heard about him. But anyway, he published the Bhagavad Gita, and he said in his publishing the Bhagavad Gita, basically, we're going to ignore certain verses. They're not important, and we're going to accept other verses which are important. And of course, that meant he was ignoring the verses where Krishna says, I'm God, everything comes from me. The Brahman is inferior to me. And Prabhupada was so upset. He really blasted this poor guy, fortunate guy. The guy got blasted. Probably just like, the guy was just like pinned against the wall. And at a certain point he said, no, he didn't say that. He didn't say that in his Bhagavad Gita. But fortunately, Tamal Krishna Maharaj had read this Raman Maharshi's Bhagavad Gita, and he was able to directly quote from it. And Prabhupada said, just see, he said that. That rascal said it. It was really wonderful hearing Prabhupada defending the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's really important. It's, like we hear in Prabhupada's Pranam mantra, what is it? Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dejatari. That Srila Prabhupada's mission is, of course, Paschatya Dejatari, Western world, but actually all over the world. But Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, like to wipe out impersonalism and voidism. And Prabhupada really had that Kshatriya mentality in regard to impersonalism and voidism. And just like we hear Krishna in the Gita says, Prachanaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam, that Krishna comes to destroy the miscreants and establish religious principles and protect the devotees. And similarly, Prabhupada's doing the same thing in a very practical way, because in Kali Yuga, well, how can I say that demons aren't separate in different bodies? I know a lot of demons. Anyway, but generally, the demons are like hidden. They appear to be very spiritual people. In the name of spirituality, they are decrying the personality of Godhead. And Krishna says, of course, avajananti mam mudha, that those people who decry or consider that Krishna's form and activities and pastimes are material, he calls them asses. You can imagine, that's a strong word, the word mudha. Prabhupada used that word. Whenever someone misinterpreted the Bhagavad Gita or took certain verses, like this rascal said that certain verses we can take and other verses are not really important, or we shouldn't accept other verses. Prabhupada said he's entitled to have his own opinion and his own philosophy, but not to use Krishna's book or his own philosophy. That was the point. Prabhupada was so angry, and that anger was so like purifying. Just hearing Prabhupada's boom, like going to war against the demons. It was like the Mahabharata war that Srila Prabhupada was fighting. So basically, that's our duty to fight this Mahabharata war against people who are impersonalists and voidists. I mean, if one thing, people are materialists, they're innocent. You know, people just want to just party and drink beer. I'm not saying it's all right. Not saying it's all right. Believe me. I'm not going to join a fraternity. Anyway, that's a party house. There was actually a movie called Party House. It was based on fraternities and sororities. Anyway, so I mean, you can understand that, you know, people are materialistic, but they're innocent. But people who mislead others in the name of spirituality, they are, I don't even want to say first-class rascals. They're the biggest rascals. And it's important for us to get angry. I mean, not lose our cool, but philosophically, as Prabhupada did it, and just like, boom, you rascal, you want to take Krishna's Gita and present your nonsense philosophy. Anyway, I was inspired. Actually, I like hearing when Prabhupada gets really angry. It's actually very purifying when Prabhupada gets angry. Anyway, whatever. Okay, anyway, I love Prabhupada, and whatever Prabhupada does, I love, so. But it's just like, I was in complete ecstasy, you know, just thinking. I mean, it's, you know, sometimes some people, they like to watch football games. But I like to watch that sort of game, like, you know, just thinking, suck it to him, Prabhupada. Get him, Prabhupada. Knock him out of the ring, Prabhupada. So if you really want to watch or hear a sporting game, listen to Prabhupada defeat the impersonalists. It is extremely cool. It's just wonderful. Anyway, on that happy note, we're going to go to the Bhagavad Gita. So let's share the screen. And as I mentioned before, we're on the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And we just finished, first of all, the nutshell verses. Remember, nutshell verses, you know, Ham Sarvasya Prabhavo, everything comes from me, Krishna says, Machata, Magata, Prana. You know, my devotees are always hearing and chanting about me and becoming very happy and satisfied by hearing and chanting about me. Tesham Satadhyuktanam. My devotees get intelligence. I, in their heart, giving them intelligence by which they can come to me. And then finally, Tesham, I dwelling in the heart, Hum Jnana Jam Tamha Masyama Atma Bhavasto Jnana Dipeta Bhasvata, that I dwelling in the heart destroy the ignorance, like that. And then after Arjuna, I'm just giving a replay, instant replay, of the beginning of the 10th chapter, over the 8, 9, 10, 11, the 10th chapter. And then 12 and 13, Arjuna, it hits him who Krishna is, and he says, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashvato, Divyam, Adidevam Aham Vibhum. What does he say? You're the supreme Brahman, the supreme abode, the supreme spiritual. Pavitram, the supreme pure, Idam Uttamam. And then he says, all the sages say this, or confirm this, Hushtam Rishyat Sarve, Devar Shir Naradastata, like the Sita. He cites certain sages in the Vedic literatures just to confirm. And it just hits him. He's dealing with God now. You know, at this point, Arjuna has just like gotten his wake-up moment. Yep, you are God. And then in this chapter, Krishna is going to tell him somewhat about his opulences, and some of the opulences, a small fragment of the opulences. And then in the 11th chapter, Krishna is going to give him how would you describe this? A real wake-up call by showing him the universal form, just like, wow, a wow moment. Anyway, whatever it's called. So now we're on text 14. Let's read this text. Sarvametai ritam hanye anmam vadasi keshava nahite bhagavan vyaktim vidur deva nadanava. Sarvam all etat this ritam truth manye I accept yet which mam unto me vadasi you tell Keshava Krishna na never he certainly. Incidentally, Krishna is called Keshava because it means someone with long black hair. Keshava. He certainly Teyor Bhagavan, or personality of Godhead, of Yaktim revelation, Vidu can know, Devaha, the demigods, Na nor Danavaha, the demons. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Because Krishna is unlimited. Actually, no one can 100% understand his personality. You can understand to a certain extent if you're a pure devotee. Certain limited extent. Purport. Arjuna herein confirms that persons of faithless and demoniac nature cannot understand Krishna. He is not known even by the demigods. So what to speak of the so-called scholars of this modern world? Let me give you an example how sometimes the demigods forget that Krishna is God or are not completely convinced that Krishna is God. Once upon a time, Krishna was asked by the demigods to go on a mission to accomplish something they could not accomplish. And what was that mission? Well, Indra, who is like the administrative head of the demigods, has a mother, Aditi, and her earrings have been stolen. Okay, that's pretty bad. Mother's earrings stolen. So you got to retrieve that. So Krishna went and he attacked this particular demon and stolen the earrings of Aditi. And actually the demon happened to be his son. And he killed his son. Because his son was a demoniac. One has to act in an equal poised way. It's not that simply because someone is a son or someone is related physically, they're better than other people. You know, that's actual real judgment. Just like you see, Lady Justice, her eyes are blind. She doesn't distinguish. She's equal to everybody. Except nowadays, of course, you have the head of this particular division in a certain government, which we can't mention right now, where justice is not blind. It's basically, if you're connected with the person who is the leader of this particular government, you will get a pardon. So anyway, so Krishna killed his own son, brought back the earrings to the mother of the demigods, that's Aditi, and he thought, you know, let me bring a plant for my wife back from the heavenly planets. No, just a plant, simple plant, Parijata. So Krishna picks it up, and the residents of the heavenly planets, headed by Indra, they fight with Krishna. You can't take our plant. So does not show that they don't believe completely that he's God? And Krishna, of course, takes care of them. You know, calm down, you demigods. I'm God, you better behave yourself. Anyway, eventually they accept. But then they forget again. This is the problem. They're not convinced. They don't have full faith in general. Sometimes some of them do. So you see that it's very hard for someone to have complete faith in Krishna. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, Arjuna has understood that the supreme truth is Krishna and that he is the perfect one. He is the one. Just remember the movie. He should therefore follow the path of Arjuna. He received, one should therefore follow the path of Arjuna. He received the authority of Bhagavad Gita. As described in the 4th chapter, the parampara system of disciplic succession for the understanding of the Bhagavad Gita was lost. And therefore, Krishna reestablished that disciplic succession with Arjuna, because he considered Arjuna his intimate friend and a great devotee. Yesterday we talked about that. Why was a disciplic succession lost? Because one person just broke it. As we've mentioned many times before, a chain is only as strong as the weakest link. So there was a weak link, it was lost. But one of the links was not actually a pure devotee, so it was lost. That happens. With a time factor, things get lost. I don't know if any of you, when you were young, played this game called Telephone. I remember as a kid, I actually remember it very clearly. I was about 8 years old, and the teacher would say, or whispered something in the ear of one of my classmates, who whispered in the ear of another classmate, whispered in the ear of another classmate. And when we got finished with 30 classmates, it came out with something completely different. So you have to be really pure to be able to transmit knowledge without changing. Therefore, as stated in our introduction to the Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita should be understood in the parampara system, means disciplic succession, unbroken chain of disciplic succession. When the parampara system was lost, Arjuna was selected to rejuvenate it. The acceptance by Arjuna of all that Krishna said should be emulated, that means copied. Then we can understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita, and then only can we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, you should accept every verse of the Bhagavad Gita. And sometimes these rascals, even though they say they accept every verse of the Bhagavad Gita, they say, well, that's just metaphorical, or Krishna is not referring to himself. Well, they are breaking the essential rule for interpretation according to Vedic scholars. The essential rule for Vedic interpretation is that if something is clear, you don't go and bring in a metaphor or think it's an analogy or a metaphor. You don't think like that. If something is unclear, then you can make it analogous, or you can derive some issue with it. I mean, for example, we gave the example the other day that there was some statement about a man who had 10 million wives. His name was Chitraketu. We told the story yesterday or the day before. And so he had 10 million wives. So you can understand that's a hyperbole. Hyperbole means it's an exaggeration. You know, sometimes we say, you know, how much did he eat? And you'll say, he ate a ton. Well, I've got news for you. If someone ate a ton of food, that person would be dead long before he reached even 100 pounds. So, if someone is said to have 10 million wives, that person, sorry about this, that person would be dead, unless he was God, before he reached 100. Anyway, it's not possible, because he wouldn't have time to be a king. Even if he lived a very long life, it wouldn't be time for all the marriage ceremonies. So anyway, so you understand that it's hyperbole, which means like it's to stress something that was really big, like tremendous. So anyway, another example given in Vedic interpretation is when it said, go to such and such's house that's on the lake. Now, generally, it doesn't mean the house is on the lake. It means the house is on the shore of the lake. So when the direct interpretation doesn't make sense, then you can use it as a metaphor, hyperbole, or things like that. But otherwise, accept it directly. And so when Krishna says, surrender unto me, think of me, mandana bhavalan bhakto madhyajivanam skuru, mamadashasi sachante pratijinaye priyosimi, as we just read the other day, then the direct interpretation is as Krishna is saying it about himself. Not that Krishna is saying it about someone else or some unborn beginningless within Krishna. So we have to accept the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And it's interesting, that is how Prabhupada titled his Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita as it is. Not as you would like it to be, as someone else made it, but it is as Krishna stated it. And Prabhupada included the Sanskrit so we could actually check on that. Okay, next verse. Swayam evatmanatmanam veta tvam purushottama Buddha bhavana bhuktesha deva deva jagatpate. Swayam, personally, eva, certainly, atmana, by yourself. Atmanam, yourself, veta, no, tvam, you, purusha, uttama, O greatest of all persons, Buddha bhavana, origin of everything. Bhuta Isha, O Lord of everything, Deva Deva, O Lord of the demigods, all demigods, Jagatpate, O Lord of the entire universe. Translation: Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency. O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. You see that Arjuna's really gotten to a wake-up moment here in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. It's finally struck him who he's dealing with. Previously he thought it's my friend, he's pretty powerful. He talks about himself being God. This is it. He is God. No question about it, etc., like that. So, another point is, he says, you alone know yourself. Krishna, of course, does know himself. However, Krishna's glories are so unlimited that even Krishna cannot count his glories. It's described that Krishna has an incarnation or expansion, Anantashesh with unlimited heads, who is continually glorifying Krishna. He never comes to an end of Krishna's glories because Krishna's glories are expanding unlimitedly at every unlimited second. That's hard to conceive. I don't know what unlimited means. I know theoretically, practically, I can't conceive of it. It's like infinity. What is infinity? I know what it means. But can you actually conceive of infinite space, time, or an infinite person, Krishna, or infinitely accelerating? Let's talk. Well, of course, my background is in physics, so we learned a lot about acceleration. How to calculate acceleration when something falls through the atmosphere, taking into account the force of the air, air pressure and everything like that. So it increases, the acceleration increases. As it falls, the speed increases, okay? It's not that the speed is constant. When you drop something from, let's say, the top of the Empire State Building, like a steel ball, it will increase in speed as it goes down tremendously. And practically, if it hit someone, it would go through their whole body. It had such momentum. So, talking about that, increasing in speed, not only the velocity, but the increase, delta, it's called, sorry about that, scientific term. So, increase in velocity. So, Krishna's glories are like that. They're increasing, but not only increasing at a constant rate, not even increasing at an exponential rate. This is for you mathematicians out there. But increasing at an unlimited rate. Imagine you had like 10 to infinity. It's enough to talk about infinity, but when you have 10 to the infinite power, what does it mean? And so Krishna's glories, anyway, that's God. He's unlimited and infinite, and that's all I can say about him. So you better surrender. The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service, like Arjuna and his followers. Persons of demonic and atheistic mentality cannot know Krishna. Mental speculation that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin, and one who does not know Krishna should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita. This is what I talked about before we started reading Bhagavad Gita tonight. Bhagavad Gita is the statement of Krishna. Since it's the science of Krishna, it should be understood from Krishna as Arjuna understood it. It should not be received from atheistic persons. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, second chapter, text 11. Vedanti tattva vidastavam yajnanam vayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavadgita Study. So we talked about this before we go read Prabhupada's comment on it. The absolute truth, the non-dual absolute truth, is known in three different aspects. One is the Brahman, the energy, the effulgence, and after that is Paramatma. That's the localized expansion of Krishna in everyone's heart. It's also called Kshiro Dakshai Vishnu. The third, Purusha incarnation, and then Bhagavan, who is Krishna in Vrindavan. The supreme truth is realized in three aspects. We mentioned this as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and last as the supreme personality of Godhead. So at the last stage of understanding the absolute truth, one comes to the supreme personality of Godhead. A common man or even a liberated man who is realized in personal Brahman or localized Paramatma may not understand God's personality. Such men therefore may endeavor to understand the supreme person from verses of the Bhagavad Gita which are being spoken by this person, Krishna. Sometimes the impersonalists accept Krishna as Bhagavan, or they accept his authority. Yet many liberated persons cannot understand Krishna as Purushottam, the supreme person. Therefore, Arjuna addresses him as Purusha Uttama, or Purushottama. It means, Uttama means top, or the top person. Yet one still may not understand Krishna as the father of all living entities. Therefore, Arjuna addresses him as Bhuta Bhavana. And if one comes to know him as the father, Bhuta means living entities, as the father of all living entities, still one may not know him as the supreme controller. Therefore, he is addressed here as Bhutesha, the supreme controller of everyone. So here Prabhupada is indirectly pointing out the limitation of simply saying that Krishna is God. And people don't really understand what that means. I mean, we understand that God is omnipresent, omnipotent, etc., like that. But you really have to really drill down with this to understand that Krishna is not just God. That's his position. But he's also the source of everything. Material worlds, spiritual worlds, living entities are his parts and parcels. And the controller of everything. Anyway, there's so much information about Krishna that's not contained within the definition of God, or the word God. And we're hearing some of these points here. And even if one knows Krishna, it does not, even if one knows Krishna is the supreme control of all living entity, still one may not know that he is the origin of all the demigods. Therefore, he is addressed as Deva Deva, the worshipful God of all demigods. And even if one knows him as the worshipful God of all demigods, one may know that he is the supreme proprietor, owner of everything. That's something. Do they teach that in church? All these different aspects of the supreme personality of God. He's a person, he has his own place, he owns everything, everything comes from him. You know, it's sorely missing in basically all the world's religions. Sorry about that. Therefore, because this is the postgraduate study of the Supreme Personality of God. Undergraduate, yeah, God. He's nice. He created everything. In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was God. Actually, when I was young, I had a particular ceremony that I presided over when I was 13. And I read, in the original language, from a book of the Bible called Genesis. In the beginning there was darkness. And then God said, let there be light. It's true. It's true. That's like the Pradhana. In the beginning there was nothing, just like the inert substance called the Pradhana. And then God said, let there be light. And he injected the spirit soul. So, but there's very little philosophical, practical understanding of God. Another point is loving God. You gotta love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your might. And these are words I command you today. I mean, that's what goes on in most services, both Christianity and Judaism. Usually that's at the end, it's the benediction. May the Lord bless thee and keep thee. May he give you peace, his blessing of peace. And in India, of course, it's Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And in the West, may the Lord give you his blessing of peace. Amen. Same thing. But there's no really no understanding of how to get peace. There's no understanding of how to love God. How can you say someone loves God? Unless they have a conception, a personal conception of God, there's no question of loving him. Anyway, therefore he is addressed as Jagatpati. That's really interesting. really an interesting term. Jagatpati. Pati means basically the proprietor, or sometimes a wife would address the husband as Pati. Pati Dave. Pati, Pati. Like that. So anyways, sorry about that one. So Jagatpati means the Pati of the universe. Pretty good. And in this material world, someone may be the Pati of someone, but not the Pati of the universe. So anyway, Jagatpati. So Krishna's address is Jagatpati. That's the truth about Krishna is established in this verse by the realization of Arjuna. We should follow in the footsteps of Arjuna to understand Krishna as he is. In other words, to read the Bhagavad Gita and understand the Bhagavad Gita, you get a well-rounded picture of the absolute truth, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whatever you may call. I mean, it's almost an injustice to call Krishna God, because that word doesn't really describe him. The only word that describes him is Krishna. And I also was listening to another conversation Prabhupada was having. Of course, I have all these recorded conversations. And someone kept insisting, "Oh, I know what Krishna is. Krishna means black." Of course, not etymologically, one can derive that, but Prabhupada said, no. Krishna means the supreme person, the most attractive person. Prabhupada just kept hammering it home. You want to... And even Krishna's black color is actually a spiritual blackish color. And we're going to approximate it by looking at a new rain cloud, approximately. But it's a spiritual color. With these eyes, we cannot see spiritual colors or spiritual things. Takshi Krishna, namadi nabhavekrayam indriyat, seva mukhehi jivado, swayam eva sparachida. Not with these blunt material senses. So we can hear an approximation, but when we actually see Krishna, we'll understand what he looks like. I mean, we see the deities, that's what Krishna looks like. But one has to have spiritual vision. If one thinks the deity is made of stone, that's all he will see. If one thinks the spiritual master is an ordinary person, that's all the person will hear or see. You have to be able to open your eyes. Those who have eyes, let them see. Those who have ears, let them hear. So next verse. Vaktum arhasya sheshena divya yatma vibhutayaha yabir vibhutibir lokan imam tvam vyapya tishyasi. Vaktum, to say, arhasi, you deserve a sheshena in detail, divyaha, divine. He certainly atma, your own. Vibhutayaha, opulences, yabihi, by which, vibhuti bihi, opulences, lokan, all the planets, iman, these, tvam, you, yapya, pervading, tishyasi, tishhasi, remain. Please tell me. Now here, Arjuna really wants more details, because he's impressed, Krishna is God, but he also is asking this question for us. You know, if you're God, tell me of some of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. So mainly he's asking for the divine opulences which can be perceived, things that we can relate to. Because sometimes Krishna, well, not sometimes, but no, Krishna does have opulences that we couldn't possibly understand. You know, so you have to have some comparison there to try to understand some things that we see, we come in touch with. And this is why Krishna talks about the opulences of this world in this particular chapter. So purport. In this verse, it appears that Arjuna is already satisfied with his understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. By Krishna's grace, Arjuna has personal experience, intelligence, and knowledge, and whatever else a person may have. And through all these agencies, he's understood Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From him, for him, there is no doubt. Yet he is asking Krishna to explain his all-pervading nature. People in general, and the impersonalists in particular, concern themselves mainly with the all-pervading nature of the Supreme. So Arjuna is asking Krishna, how do we exist in his all-pervading aspect through his various or different energies? One should know that this is being asked by Arjuna on behalf of the common people. So basically, Bhagavad Gita is being spoken by Krishna on behalf of us, and questions by Arjuna on behalf of us. Arjuna is put into Yogamaya. That means an illusion that's not material illusion, but it may appear to be a material illusion or close to the material illusion, just so the Bhagavad Gita would be spoken. If Arjuna was not put into this apparent illusion, Krishna in the beginning would have said, Arjuna, fight, and Arjuna would have said, yes, sir, whatever you say. And then we would be the losers, because there'd be no Bhagavad Gita for us. And that Bhagavad Gita that was spoken millions of years ago by the sun, to Krishna, to the sun god, and passed down through that chain of disciplic succession that was lost, we would have no access to. So we'd be in big, hot water. So thank you, Arjuna, for taking our position here. Arjuna, in one sense, is every man. And he's taking our position, although this is actually what's happening. Arjuna actually is asking those questions. He actually feels like it when he's asking the questions, because Krishna has put him under his divine energy to ask these questions. So, katam vidyam aham yogims tvam sada parichintiyan keshu keshu chimbhaveshu chinto si bhagavan maya. Katam, how, vidyam aham, shall I know, yogin, O supreme mystic, tvam, you, sada, always, parichintiyan, thinking of keshu in which, cha also, bhaveshu, nature's, chincha asi, you are to be remembered, Bhagavan, O supreme maya, by me. O Krishna, O supreme mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O supreme personality of Godhead? Important questions that he's asking on our behalf, because he already can think of Krishna in his form of Krishna. He doesn't need to know everything that Krishna does, but for our benefit, he's asking these questions. As it is stated in the previous chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is covered by his Yogamaya. Only surrendered souls and devotees can see him. Now, Arjuna is convinced that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Godhead, but he wants to know the general process by which the all-pervading Lord can be understood by the common man. So he's not asking for himself. He's asking for us. Common men, including the demons and atheists, cannot know Krishna because he is guarded by his Yoga Maya energy. Remember the verse? Naham prakasha sarvasha Yoga Maya samhavata buddham. That I cannot be known by those Naham prakasha sarva, by people. I'm covered by my eternal deluding potency known as Yoga Maya. And who are those people? Ashradana Purucha Dharma Shasha Paramdapa Prapyamam Nivartate Michusam Saravarmani, those who don't have faith. They cannot know Krishna. Again, these questions are asked by Arjuna for their benefit. The superior devotee is concerned not only for his own understanding, but for the understanding of all mankind. In other words, why has Prabhupada written this Bhagavad Gita? Anyone know? For our benefit. He knew the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, he had studied the Bhagavad Gita from the time he was a little kid. He probably knew it backwards and forwards. But why did Prabhupada have to translate it into English? With great difficulty. Actually, the first translation that Prabhupada did of the Bhagavad Gita in English was stolen. And he had to do it all over again. And Prabhupada made so much endeavor to get it published. There's actually an interesting story how Prabhupada got it published by the Macmillan publishing company. Very interesting. I'll tell it right now. That once upon a time, Prabhupada was instructing Brahmananda to find, Brahmananda, one of his first disciples, to find a publisher, publish the Bhagavad Gita. He had the manuscript. So Brahmananda didn't know what to do. One day, they received a letter from the Macmillan Company, not about the book, it was about the Hare Krishna album. And so Prabhupada said, deliver this letter, or deliver the album, along with my manuscript, present it to them. So Ramananda goes there. And I think he finds that the person who wrote the letter was probably in the mail room or some, low position like that. Not really in the executive offices. But as Brahmananda was there, one of the chief editors of Macmillan Company came down the stairs, I guess, to check his mail or to whatever, and walked into the office. And the person who had ordered the record actually introduced him. This is our chief editor, like that. And Brahmananda took his cue, and he said, we have this Bhagavad Gita that needs to be published by an Indian Swami. And the man said, really? I've been looking for a Bhagavad Gita, a genuine Bhagavad Gita. And then that was it. By Prabhupada's desire. If you hear about some of these interesting early pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, it was like by magic, how things just like worked like clockwork. Prabhupada actually was doing magic, or Krishna was doing magic. So Prabhupada published his Bhagavad Gita for the understanding of mankind, not for his own benefit. What benefit did Prabhupada get out of it? So Arjuna is in the same position. So Arjuna, out of his mercy, because he's a Vaishnava devotee, is opening for the common man the understanding of the all-pervasiveness of the Supreme Lord. He addresses Krishna specifically as Yogin because Krishna is the master of the Yoga Maya energy. Remember, Yoga Maya is the internal energy of Krishna. Mahamaya is the external energy. We're all under Mahamaya now, unless we're Krishna conscious, by which he is covered and uncovered to the common man. In other words, Krishna's energy is so strong. It's covering us. I mean, it's making us think that we're Americans. Although I'm thinking about it, depending on what happens in the next election. Anyway, so he makes us think we're Americans, or we're Indians, or we're white, or black, or something like that. It's just like a hypnotist who is on the stage, and he takes one of the people out of the audience, and he convinces that person that he's a dog. And what does the person do? He gets down on his hands and knees and starts barking like he is a dog. And Krishna does the same thing. If Krishna or Krishna's energy puts us into the body in the next life as a dog, we'll be barking. And we're going to be very attached to our mother and father dogs. I mean, there's an interesting example about Indra. Okay, let's give these example about Indra. Once upon a time, Indra was cursed and he had to take birth as a pig. He came down to the earth planet and was a pig, maybe North Carolina. But anyway, he was a pig somewhere, in a pig sty. I think you all know what a pig sty is. A pig sty is, anyway, the mud that a pig rolls around in. A pig is a dirty creature. You say that even about people who are actually very dirty. You say, he's a pig, or she's a pig. So anyway, there's a story I told before about Pigpen, a person who was very piggy and then he became a great devotee. But that's not what this is about. So Indra was cursed to become a pig. Okay, so goes down to the earth planet, becomes a pig. And then in the heavenly planets, they think, we really need him back. He's been punished enough. Please, let's get him back. All right, so they go down, send a message. You don't have to be a pig anymore. You can come back to the heavenly planets and enjoy heavenly bliss. And your heavenly bliss is inconceivable compared to what's happening in this life, even as human beings. What to speak of what's happening in a pig life. Heavenly bliss, I mean, wow. It's like Hawaii on steroids. Anyway, so, getting back to the point. So Indra is the pig, somehow or other, this is like a Walt Disney movie, The Pig's Talk. Indra said, no, I can't go back. I have so many responsibilities. Look at these piglets and my pig wife. There's a pig, remember. Okay. Not criticizing anybody. So they're thinking, what can we do to get it back? We got to get this guy back. We need him. And so by the action of karma, the farmer killed, because that's what farmers do. They eat pigs. So he killed the little piglets and killed the pig wife, and then next coming for Indra, and Indra said, all right, I'm ready to go back. Take me away. And he closed his eyes, and he was back in Indra Lokas. So the moral of the story is that Maya is so strong due to these attachments we have. It's just incredible. But we are none of these things. None of these relationships, none of these possessions. Everything belongs to Krishna. Everyone belongs to Krishna. We're all relatives, brothers and sisters. That's it. But we have these skin disease. Skin disease, of course. Things attached because of the skin, you know. And then so much so that nowadays people are very much into genealogy. What does that mean? They send a swab from their cheeks to some laboratory to have the DNA analyzed, and they find out, oh, your ancestors were Neanderthals, were gorillas. No, not really like that. So, because people are so much concerned with their roots, it doesn't matter. It's all temporary. Our real connection is with Krishna and Krishna's pure devotees. All right, so much for the sannyas preaching. So let's finish this purport. The common man who has no love for Krishna cannot always think of Krishna. Therefore, he has to think materially. In other words, Krishna is going to give us a way to think of him materially. Arjuna is considering the mode of thinking of the materialistic persons of this world. The word keshu, Tribhaveshu, refers to material nature. The word bhava means physical things. So we have to be able to see Krishna in physical things, the things that are great, amazing. Like when I was young, I would look up at the stars. Oh, I could see God. You know, appreciate that as God. Because materialists cannot understand Krishna spiritually, they are advised to concentrate the mind on physical things and try to see how Krishna is manifested by physical representations. As I've often mentioned before, when I was studying cellular biology, I could actually see Krishna there because you could see the design. When you see the design, which is obvious, it didn't happen by chance, then you naturally conclude there is a designer. Okay, so we will end here, and tomorrow we'll start on the 18th. Actually, tomorrow we're not going to start on the 18th, because tomorrow is a special day, and I'm going to describe what that is, and then I'm going to let Aditya Narayan Prabhu say a few words. Tomorrow, for those of you who are listening to us, let me just take you all off of mute, so eventually we can take some comments. Tomorrow, for those of you who are listening to us, is Balaram's appearance day. Balaram, of course, is Krishna's brother. He's not different from Krishna. He's the original spiritual master. And by taking shelter of Balaram, one can get the mercy of Krishna. Without taking shelter of Balaram, one cannot get Krishna's mercy. Maya ma balahine na lavva is the statement. So we're going to speak tomorrow at the same time about Balaram. Now the program here, which I guess Aditya Narayan Prabhu is going to elaborate on further, is going to be online. I'm going to be doing the speaking from the temple room. And right after I speak, there'll be an Abhishek for Balaram. Krishna and Balaram, of course, because you can't leave Krishna out. And then there's probably going to be an RT and everything like that afterwards. And a virtual feast. We will show you a plate of prasadam. And you know, as they say, eat your heart out. So, and we'll show you the Mahaplate that's offered to the deities, and then it's up to you to try to do whatever you're going to do at home. Anyway, so the reason we're doing that is that we're being extremely cautious because this virus is actually hitting basically all-time highs in this part of the United States. I was just hearing from one of my disciples in Victoria, in Australia, and people there are not allowed to go out more than 5K, that means 5 kilometers, which is about 3 miles from their houses. Like circumference of, not circumference, diameter of, a radius actually, a radius of 5 miles, 3 miles from their houses. And only once a day, and only one person in the family is allowed to do that. So that's just about a complete lockdown. It's a very dangerous time. We have to protect the devotees. And so Janmashtami, we're going to be taking extraordinary measures of basically having people wait in their cars before they can take darshan, and we'll call them on the phone when they come out of the car and take darshan. Everyone will get prasadam on Janmashtami. But tomorrow's program will be just online. So you can join us at the same time as today, 5 o'clock, and we're going to talk about Lord Balaram and have the Abhishek. So it'll be nice celebration with the Vaishnavas. Hopefully quite a few Vaishnavas will join us. It'll be on Facebook, and also simultaneously it will be on Zoom too. So that will happen tomorrow. And now we'll take a question or two, and then we'll let Aditya Narayan Prabhu say something about what's happening. So any questions or comments? Questions, comments? No one?
Maharaj.
Okay. Whoop, we have competition. Who was asking a question? We had 2 people.
This is Ratna Radhika. Hi, Krishna.
Ratna, okay.
Thank you for your really nice class. I wanted to ask, you were mentioning about King Chitraketu having 10 million wives, and we can see that as a hyperbole. And I was just wondering, because in the scriptures, there's a lot of statements that are really hard to understand with our limited understanding. So how do we know which statements are hyperboles and which are factual?
Well, I think you need to take Mother Irmala's course in hermeneutics. Hermeneutics means how to understand things according to the Shastra, and also common sense too. Because you also have to bring Srila Jiva Goswami in his Tattva Sandarbha talks about this too. That you have to really understand things like, how can a king have 10 million wives? And it wasn't that he had 10 million wives in the spirit, it wasn't Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to use a little bit of common sense to understand this. Although some people may say that, yes, it's to be taken literally at 10 million wives. Actually, he wouldn't have had time for any marriage ceremonies with 10 million wives. If you know what 10 million wives is, it's more than the whole population of North Carolina. I mean, that's polygamy on steroids, basically. So I think we need to study hermeneutics at a certain point. I mean, there's always exaggerations that we use even in ordinary speech too. If something doesn't really make sense at all, then we can actually bring in the hermeneutical understanding, have a discussion about it. So, yeah, it's difficult, but one needs to do these things just so that they don't. Oh, there's Mother Irmala, my professor. We were just talking about hermeneutics and the 10 million wives. So you can take her course. She's going to be giving a course on hermeneutics here one day, and help us understand how to read Shastra or understand different things where certain times you'll have something that actually conflicts with observable reality. And then really try to understand whether it's just something that you don't see, but it's so spiritual, or it's an exaggeration to help make a point. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors like that. And then you'll find differences between acharyas and interpretation of these different points. But none of the times are these interpretations based upon a difference in Siddhanta. See, you got these hermeneutical tools, and forgive me, I'm not giving you a course now, right? Don't worry. But you got these hermeneutical tools And first of all, you need a statement of Siddhanta, which ISKCON really needs to do right now. While those of us who are Prabhupada disciples need to come up with a statement, like something like Bhakti Vinod Thakur has his Dashamula. Dashamula is 10 points of Siddhanta, and I think ISKCON needs to come out with a few more points than that, detailing Prabhupada, who is Prabhupada. Oops. Hold on a second, someone's trying to call me and I don't want to answer it. Okay, got him off. So ISKCON needs to come to proper hermeneutical understanding or a description of Prabhupada's position. And I think the most important thing, and Mother Emily will like me for this, is I think the most important thing the GBC can do at this point is understand hermeneutics. I think more than passing rules and regulations of how, this Wednesday we're going to be talking about samadhis, how big people's samadhis should be. I mean, it's maybe important. Of course, I want my samadhi to be at least 200 meters by 200 meters. But, 5 acres or something like that. But, I mean, it's important to discuss that. But really, to talk about Tattva, Dashamula, to talk about our Siddhanta, and to talk about how to approach Vedic literatures and Prabhupada's statements is really important. I mean, of course, just for example, you have Prabhupada's statement about the size of women's brains. You probably know about that, right? So how do you accept that? And what do you deal with it? How do you deal with it? That's a simple thing. I mean, that's a really simple thing. But if we want our movement to have a solid philosophical foundation, the understanding of hermeneutics is actually absolutely essential. Do you agree, Mother Rula? She agreed. I'm going to get 5 stars in my report card now. And my mother will be really proud of me. So anyway, that was a good question. Rishikesh, you have a question?
Yes, Gurudev. Just had a question about, right now we are having this temple of Vedic Planetarium where we are structuring, this whole universe based on 5th canto. So I think this, what you just said also is important, because what we observe and whatever this current science observe outside is very much contradicting what 5th canto is saying. So how do we make, of course we as devotees we accept because it's said in Shastras.
Yeah.
But how do we make this relevant to the scientist? That's a big.
Well, that's why it's important to study hermeneutics. That's one reason, because there's different ways to understand the 5th canto's descriptions. I can get into a little technicality here. My personal approach is rather what we call a teleological approach to the 5th canto's descriptions. That the 5th canto's descriptions are described. You can approach it in different ways. Are describing the purpose of all these different planetary systems. And if we try to project a higher dimensional reality, I'm not saying the descriptions are wrong. I accept the descriptions 100%. But they're describing a higher dimensional reality unto our 3 dimensions. It just doesn't work. You end up with something that's completely not understandable when you do that. So therefore, it requires a lot of discussion. And I'm thinking, I may be wrong about this, but I was thinking that in the chandelier and the TLVP, they've actually put off the design until they can actually come to some conclusion on that. That was the last message I heard. Of course, with the present coronavirus, the TLVP opening, I'm sure, is going to be a few years away, and not 20 and 22 like they were originally planned. But I prefer what's called the teleological explanation of the different levels of the universe. That means what their purpose is. Because we can only see a limited amount of dimension. Our sight is limited, even materially. You know, what to speak of spiritually? It talks Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Graham Indriya. But materially, even there's things happening even around me, right here as I sit here. There's all sorts of electromagnetic waves and things happening that are beyond my experiencing jurisdiction. You know, or things on a microscopic level that are beyond my experiencing jurisdiction. So for me to try to project those into my limited ability to conceive or whatever, or make a chandelier of those things, I don't know if we're capable of doing it. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
that makes sense to me.
yeah. So I think these things require discussion, and that's why I became so enlivened when there was a presentation by the SAC of hermeneutics last year, and I am 100% behind this particular discussion, because unless we establish hermeneutical understanding of different aspects of the Krishna conscious movement, including Varnashram and everything else, then people are going to be very confused later on. I mean, we're already confused now. I mean, hold on, someone keeps calling me. Let me just turn that off. It's someone who I wanted to speak to, but it's not appropriate for them to call me right now in the middle of class. So anyway, so that's my 10 cents or 2 cents or whatever it is. And that's should be the business of the GBC right now, the most important issues. So I think we touched upon a lot of issues, but I want to leave time for Aditya Narayan Prabhu to clue us in as far as what's going to happen tomorrow, and maybe give a hint as far as Janmashtami. You ready?
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for the wonderful class and discussing this point on hermeneutics. Very interesting, and as you said, a very important subject matter for all of us to go deeper and try to understand how to actually understand Shastras. So thank you so much for the wonderful class. As Maharaj mentioned earlier, that tomorrow is the appearance day of Lord Balaram, and Maharaj mentioned the program that evening 5 o'clock, Maharaj will be giving class on glories of Lord Balaram, and followed by Maharaj's class will be a live Abhishek, where you can witness the Abhishek of Sri Krishna Balaram. In addition to that, also tomorrow morning, our usual Bhagavatam class at 6:30 a.m. Her Grace Mother Urmila will be giving a class on glories of Lord Balaram. So you can tune into that. That will be on mayapur.tv, Hillsborough channel. So 6:30 a.m. is in the morning, Mother Urmila's class. And then 5 p.m. is a class by His Holiness Krishna Goswami Maharaj, followed by the Abhishek ceremony. So, and also something very special tomorrow is there's going to be a beautiful flower outfit for Sri Sri Radha Golokananda on the auspicious day of Balram Jayanti. So we request everyone, please do not miss tomorrow's darshan online. So you can log into Mayapur TV, or we'll be actually posting the DT photos. Maharaj does it every day on his Facebook page. So you can witness the beautiful darshan of Sri Sri Radha Golokananda. And also darshan of the temple, like temple darshan will be open full day in case anyone would like to come. But you can have darshan also online. So, and if anyone would like to sponsor this wonderful, beautiful flower outfit tomorrow for the pleasure of Lord Balram, where Sri Sri Radha Golokananda will have this beautiful flower outfit, please reach out to us. The donation is $301 for the wonderful flower outfit. Please contact Mother Leela Shakti or myself to sponsor the flower outfit for Sri Sri Radha Golokananda. Okay. So that's tomorrow, appearance day of Lord Balram. And then coming up the following Tuesday, that's 11th of August, is Sri Krishna Janmashtami. And so Janmashtami, like we'll have darshan like online. We'll have darshan whole day, and all our festivities will be online. So you can sit online and see the entire festival. For those who will be coming on site, we'll have we already have made parking arrangements from across across the street. So you can park your cars there, and there'll be like, when people walk in, there'll be signs. Everyone needs to wear a mask on the temple property, observe social distancing, and we'll make all arrangements for the safety of everyone. So you can come. There'll be darshan, and then we'll have to-go prasadam for everyone, and also for those who come forward to sponsor different aspects of Janmashtami, we'll have an opportunity for you to offer Abhishek of Shri Shri Radha Golokananda. Right, so that's overall like our main program for Janmashtami. So we'll have a beautiful darshan, and everyone will get a chance to offer arti to Shri Shri Radha Golokananda and to-go prasadam, and also for those who sponsor, we'll have an opportunity to offer Abhishek. Right, so Janmashtami is the year when everyone is eagerly looking forward to sponsor a gift on the appearance day of our dear Lord Shri Krishna. So it's a wonderful day to make a sponsorship. So we have different sponsorship options. I'm going to quickly read them out, but this information is also will be sent out on our emails, and also is on our website. So we'll have a new DT outfit for Shri Shri Radha Golokananda. If you'd like to sponsor that, that's $1,001. DT jewelry, $501. Flowers for the festival, $501. Decorations for the festival, $251. Then the sponsorship relating to the prasadam, the food, the prasadam sponsorship. So we have main Mahaprasadam feast. That is the main feast that will be served to everyone who comes. That sponsorship is for $1,001. We have a nice menu plan, so you all will get really nice prasadam. And the sponsorship next day is Prabhupada Appearance Day. So if you'd like to sponsor the feast for that day, it is $501. The midnight offering will be $351, and the other prasadam offerings through the day will be $108. Midnight Artik sponsorship $301, and the other 6 Artiks will be $108. Then regarding Abhishek, Maha Abhishek $1,001, 5,000. We have Govinda Abhishek $501, Madhav Abhishek $251, and Gopal Abhishek $108. Yeah, this is the whole list, but we also will be sending out this on emails, and it's also on our website. So you can select how you would like to make a gift to dear Lord Shri Krishna on this most auspicious day of Shri Krishna Janmashtami. And if you have any questions about how the Janmashtami will be, like what safety precautions we are observing, or any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to Mother Leela Shakti or myself. And also another important announcement regarding Janmashtami is, since we want to have a very safe Janmashtami, we need volunteers who will actually help us, observe all the rules, who will help us observe the, this crowd flow with social distancing. So we have different departments where you can volunteer for Janmashtami. So the first department is the crowd control department, so very crucial. The second department is the parking, so managing all the cars that are coming in. So that's second department. The third department is prasadam distribution. The fourth department is preparing the prasadam. And we have few other services. We have also services which are lined up for next weekend. That is Saturday, Sunday before Janmashtami, where there'll be like decoration and a little bit ground setup and making the lines. So we'll be sending out a link, which is a Google form. You can actually see all the services. It has the hours where you can volunteer, and you can just go in, sign your name, and we'll get in touch with you for more information. Right. So tomorrow is Balaram Appearance Day, and tomorrow 6:30 a.m. Mother Urmila's class, 5 p.m. Class by His Holiness Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And also tomorrow evening, we have planned one more class with His Grace Amarendra Prabhu. That will be from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Zoom. So 3 classes tomorrow. And then the following Tuesday is Shri Krishna Janmashtami. And the day after Shri Krishna Janmashtami is the appearance day of our dear Srila Prabhupada. And that program will be completely on Zoom. So we'll have from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30, there will be offerings. And we'll actually send out a link where if you like to make an offering, a reading offering to Srila Prabhupada, then you can actually sign up on that link. And after the offerings, you can actually witness simultaneously Aarti of Radha Golokananda and Srila Prabhupada and Pushpanjali. So, and if you have many requests for making verbal offerings, we may plan an evening session where on Zoom you can come and make your offerings to Srila Prabhupada. Right? So that's so those are the programs. So if you have any questions, please do reach out to us. And also if you'd like to make any sponsorship, please do reach out to us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you very much, Aditya Narayan Prabhu. And yeah, okay, I think that's it. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you all tomorrow night, same time, same station. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai.
Jai.